Donald Trump has banned citizens of 12 countries from visiting the United States.
We will not allow people to enter our country who wish to do us harm, and nothing will stop us from keeping America safe.
During the announcement, the president said the countries have hostile attitudes to the US. The ban includes Afghanistan, Myanmar, Haiti and Iran. 7 other nations will also face restrictions. Our global security editor, Rohit Kachroo, is here. So, Rohit, why is he doing this now?
Well, I guess that depends who you ask. According to President Trump and his White House team, this is all a response to what happened in Colorado a few days ago, an attack which has once again raised the issue of terrorism within the US. The suspect there, an Egyptian national. Egypt, not one of the countries initially on this list, or certainly the first version of this list of countries. So, I mean, that sort of raised further questions. But he says that this is about trying to tackle the threat of terrorism which comes from abroad. Many of his political opponents in the US are saying that actually this is all about distraction. This is about turning eyeballs away from some of the challenges that President Trump is having in Washington, some of the legislative challenges, also some of the economic ones too, as the impact of this wave of tariffs and the uncertainty around that continues to be felt. So there are many people, many of his opponents certainly, who are saying that this is all actually a PR exercise which has real life consequences. And there's been a lot of response, just had this actually from one agency, that Refugees International, largely respected NGO, which says that this move is inhumane and discriminatory. Discriminatory in part, many people say, because they believe this is a repeat of what happened in the first term, what was known as the so-called Muslim ban.
In 2017.
That's right. This wave of blocks on some of the same countries in 2017, which were disproportionately Muslim countries. Again, the argument at that point was that these are countries from which a lot of terrorism emanates, threats against the US. I mean, it's worth noting here that in this list of countries, there are apparent omissions, such as, for example, Syria, where, you have this situation where, yes, there have been multiple terrorist threats which have emanated from Syria. However, the government of Syria is in a process. The new government, which came in after the fall of Assad, has begun this process of improving relations with the US. The US has just lifted sanctions. The 2 presidents of Syria and the US had a brief meeting in Saudi Arabia recently. And so one of the criticisms that we're hearing in Washington is actually that this is a kind of bespoke list that fits around country by country, that fits around the personal relationships between Trump and the leaders there, who he wants to upset and who he doesn't want to upset. And that's been one of the broad criticisms here. But yeah, as you say, this happened in some form before 2017, so-called Muslim ban. A great deal of criticism at that point. I remember one of the main critics at the time, one of the most high-profile critics at the time, the parents of a Gold Star Muslim soldier, Humayun Khan. His parents stood at the Democratic National Convention. His mother didn't speak, and then subsequently Trump suggested that perhaps she wasn't allowed to speak, which then kind of let out this wave of criticism and discussion and sort of, online anger about what was perceived there to be an Islamophobic comment. And we're seeing an echo of some of those criticisms here as well.
And what we also remember from 2017 as well, were those kind of really chaotic scenes. And, there's the timing of this. First of all, how practical is it going to be to implement? And are they waiting for after the weekend on the 9th? So, I don't know, so we won't see those kind of chaotic scenes at airports as well?
Yeah, that's a suspicion, I think, that they're trying to give themselves time for this to...
It's not much time.
It's not much time, but, that there is precedent from Trump's first term. So some of the officials who'll be working on this programme have worked on the sort of 1.0 version of this so-called Muslim ban. Some of the countries are different this time. Yeah. Some of the terms are different this time. And, there are differences also in terms of some of the terms. So, let's not forget the US will be staging the World Cup and the Olympics in the next few years.
There are exemptions.
Exactly,
yes.
exemptions, including for some of the footballers who will be starring in the World Cup, some of the athletes as well. But inevitably, if this ban is still in place, and there are some people who say, listen, this is just about PR, this is about distracting, and by the time we get to the opening ceremony of the World Cup or the Olympics, who knows what might have happened. But if they're still in place, there will be people, presumably, who are attached to those teams, be they from, going over to peripheral roles or, reporting on the tournaments, for example, from those countries who won't be able to go. And this could affect a relatively large number of people.
So this is one of many executive orders that we've seen.
Yeah.
In terms of challenging this recent decision, this executive order, are we going to see any challenges? Can there be any?
Well, there have been plenty of people on Capitol Hill who've said that they will explore whatever routes they can. I think the suspicion among many of Trump's opponents, though, is actually the challenge is what he seeks. We've heard the phrase so many times before about Trump's ambition to flood the zone. There's language that some of his advisors have used in the past about creating controversies, one after the other, not allowing anyone to settle their attention on one policy or another, one executive order or another. And so some of his critics are saying that actually this is what that is about, and it may well not come to pass in the form that it's been promised on this video that Trump released on social media last night. But yeah, there'll be challenges, certainly. And just watching some of the US coverage on some of the American networks just now, that this is being widely covered, and the critics of this proposal, of this scheme, are being incredibly vocal on the air today.
And finally, I suppose, this, for people who are in the US, who are US citizens, who've got family in some of these countries, I mean, this is going to affect them.
Yeah.
And this sets difficult. The tone, doesn't it?
Of course.
Once again.
Yeah, incredibly difficult. I mean, I was just thinking one of the countries on there, Yemen, just thinking of people in the US who we've worked with, who are Yemeni, and who have until now been able to have family members come and visit them. We've seen criticism, even on the sort of what you might call the kind of MAGA sympathetic right of the spectrum. There was an anchor on Newsmax, one of the sympathetic channels to Donald Trump, who was talking about a case of two well-respected students from Haiti who wouldn't be able to go to the US now, and people are urging reconsideration. But what we can say with certainty is that this is dominating the conversation at this moment, at this hour in the US. And according to many of Trump's critics, that was the real objective of this.
All right, we shall see June the 9th. That's when it's due to happen. Rohit, thank you.